get her done. We right there. So, question to everybody. If you're a 1%er, I know it. But do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? Do you care about this sport the way that I care about this sport? Would you be live at 3 p.m. on a Sunday when you know the NFL teams are playing? I don't care. If the Bills aren't playing, I don't care. And I will be watching the Bills game tonight. But while I'm watching the Bills game, guess what I'm going to be doing? Preparing tomorrow's show. And don't be surprised if I don't prepare it immediately after this recorded now, you guys get it live tomorrow. Because I got a reaction Monday tomorrow on my dog, Nino. So, super excited about this. So, let's talk about Duke Cal. Do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? Do you watch college football or do you just skim through it? We had an outstanding game. Yesterday, it was one of those 10 p.m. games, and a lot of our thought process was one of, hey, all right, this is a really late game for Duke, but we couldn't make any excuses for them because Cal and Stanford sometimes got to travel east and play really early games out east, and nobody feels sorry for them, so of course nobody's going to feel sorry for Duke. So we didn't know if they'd have a sluggish start. But then I thought to myself, most of these kids aren't like the rest of us. I'm an early bird. Every sleepover I went to, I was always the first one to go to sleep. And if people try to toothpaste me or the little shaving cream stuff, all that, I'm ready to fight right afterwards. But I've always been that way. I've always been conditioned to go to sleep early. That's just who I am. Even now, I'm in bed early. But these kids, they'll play their game Saturday, go to parties, be big man on campus, go home, play 2K, and it's like 5 in the morning next thing you know. So while it's a 10 p.m. game, and for most of us, it's even a struggle for me to stay up that late on Saturday. I ain't gonna lie to you. I stay up because I love this sport, but it's a struggle. I promise you it's a struggle. I even got to practice on Friday sometimes because it's a struggle. Because during the week, if it ain't no games, we don't got no Fun Belt, we don't got no Con USA, or we don't got no Max, and I'm going to bed, bro. It is what it is. I'm an early bird. I love waking up around 3:45 in the morning. So, great game yesterday between Cal, well, for Duke, and Duke. And it was one of these games where it went as I expected, but not fully as I expected. I didn't expect JKS to play as terrible as he did. 3 interceptions, really 4. If you watch the game, you know it was 4. Just really one of those things where you feel for the kid, but like I said, sometimes it's lessons and losses. Sometimes it's just lessons and losses. So, but let's talk about Duke, because like I said, this is one of those late night games. I wasn't sure, like I said earlier, what type of Duke we would get, but let's give credit due where it's due. Duke didn't blink. They was down 14-0 midway through the first quarter, and when you're watching the game, you say, okay, some of the things that you were worried about this game being so late that they were going to take a little bit to wake up, but it looked like right out the door that Cal was like, okay, we found out offense, we've been struggling offensively, let's go make it happen. But then Duke wins 45-21. That's a 45 piece on the road, 3,000 miles away from home. That's beautiful. But let's set the stage a little bit. Cal came out hot, 2 quick touchdowns, the crowd's rocking. Duke looks sluggish, and I get worried because there's some seasons like this past off season, or what they call an off season, but it's in season for us because we talk college football 24/7, 365, where I felt really good about this Manny Diaz unit. I like that they got their guy, like how quickly that they got their guy via the portal, and Darian Mensah has played lights out for them. His ability to process is incredible. It truly is incredible. But there's been times this year that they just haven't looked really good to me. They just haven't, like, just to be completely honest. But this is one of those games I was proud of their composure. I really was. And after being down 2 touchdowns, they look extremely sluggish. That's when Darian Mensah just calmly engineers 4 straight scoring drives. 4 straight scoring drives. 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, no panic. What you get out of this Darian Mensah kid is incredible. It really is. And we always look at coaches and we always talk about teams. And I thought there was going to be a huge void left by Mike Elko when he left Durham. And a lot of people down there, a lot of that fan base didn't like the way he left. I didn't like the way he left. I respect Jed Fish, but I didn't like the way he left Arizona. But this is the business. Sad side of the business, but it's the business. You know what I'm saying? Nate Sheppard, Aaron Castle. Great games by them. A lot of Darian Mensah gets a lot of the hype, but great games by them. They punched in 2 touchdowns. Jacquez Moore scored another one on the ground. They were dominant. It was a physical beatdown. after the 14 points was scored by Cal, they went on that 45-7 run. This game looked very much like the San Diego State and Cal game. It was one of those things like deja vu all over again. We had seen this before. And shout out to Duke defense. They give up the points that they gave up early, the way that they giving them up, and then to be able to buckle down and go on a 45-7 run. I think that's incredible. So JKS, Jaron-Keawe Sagapolutete. I always try to say it every time, but it's JKS. 45 yards and touchdown, but 3 picks. Really 4 picks. When I almost called back, he really threw 4 picks, and they actually had to set him. Coach Wilcox set him. I think Devin Brown played like a few downs, but it was a bad performance. But, reevaluate, get to it. It's not that he's a true freshman. Sometimes true freshmen are going to play like what, Governor? They're going to play like true freshmen. It is what it is. I think the craziest part of it all is Duke was able to win that war of attrition on a line of scrimmage because this wasn't one of those things with simulated pressures. They were showing a lot of mug fronts or anything like that. That wasn't the case. They was getting pressure with 4. So some of that onus has to be on the offensive line, and they got to find a way at home. It's a regular time game for you all, but that's a late game for Duke and these kids on the East Coast. And you started high, but what happened? Why did it fizzle so easily? That's the question I got to ask. Darian Mensah, 19-29, 265 yards, 2 tutties. Sharing the sugar. Rashawn Brown, 6 catches, 140 yards and a touchdown. Great performance by him. And he kind of said it best after the game. We can catch them. They can't catch us. Duke's a really good team. I think they'll be there in the thick of things in the ACC. I'm telling you that second team in the ACC who's in the championship with it should be Miami, unless Miami had one of those falls like they did a year ago. May have 3 losses. They just may have 3 losses. And in some discussions, they could have 4 with only like 1 or 2 ACC losses. That's what we're about to see in the ACC 100%. I talked to you a lot about what Duke brings to the table. I shout out to the people who shouted me out for breaking down that game. They said they couldn't really see previews anywhere, so that lets me know this week even more previews for teams that a lot of people don't cover. Because here it's always been about covering the FBS. You want the FCS, you gotta check out my dog CFB Moon and World of College Football. He does a great job of covering FCS, HBCU, all of that. I try to cover all the FBS. Did we spend more time with the P4 than we do G5? Absolutely. But did we talk G5 ball? Yes. Did we start the show off with G5 ball? Yes. We did, 100%. So, what does Justin Wilcox and company do now? Because during the prediction segment of this game, when I was going through it, I talked about both of these teams. I talked about how both of these teams have given us Heckle and Jada. And in this game, we saw Heckle and Jada from Cal. We seen them start real strong, and then it became interception central. And then Duke got extremely hot. They went on a 45-7 run. That right there is crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. So we can't see this Heckle and Jada act. How good can Duke be? And some of the questions that I asked myself after this game. Cal defense, even though their offense has looked really great sometimes, bad sometimes, they was only giving up 18 points per game. Then Duke just dropped a 45 piece on them. Like Michael Jordan, I'm back. Duke is now 4-2. Key statement. This is why I say somebody in the ACC could either have 3 losses or 4 losses. They're 3-0 in the ACC. As bad as we've seen them play in some games, they're still 3-0 in the ACC. That's incredible.